Hi, everyone, and welcome to Signature West Podcast. I'm your host, Sam West from Palm Springs, California. Real estate is a very sexy topic, especially in Palm Springs. And often there's a new generation of real estate agents that join the industry that are either changing careers or starting a new career. And I'm always curious to why that is. So my guest today is Doug George, and he's with Avenue 8. And I want to know why. Hi, Doug.
Hi, Sam. How you
How
doing?
are you? Good. How are you?
Doing well.
So take us back to where you were born and where you were raised.
Okay. Well, I'm one of four boys. We were originally from Greenville, South Carolina, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia when I was 4 years old. My father was in the lingerie business,
Oh,
and my mother was a registered nurse.
how did your mom like that? Your dad
She loved it. She wanted to be a doctor, but that didn't happen to women who went to high school in the 40s so much. Not in the South anyway.
Right. And what school did you go to?
I went to the University of Georgia for the most part, but then I finished at Georgia State University, which is in Atlanta. So started in Athens, finished up in Atlanta.
I understand you had a major in accounting.
Well, I started out in accounting, then I went to IT, and then I ended up actually getting a degree in real estate, but I never worked in real estate until doing this.
Why accounting to start? Like what was it?
I think that's what everybody was doing back then. It was a good career. It was a good jumping off point to a career in business. I mean, if you had an accounting degree, you could be a CPA, you could move into, finance, the C-suite, whatever. That wasn't really for me though.
And why did you switch to IT? How did you become IT?
I don't know. That was, when Apple was launching their first computer, and it seemed like a really great field to go into, which it obviously was. But spending many overnights in computer labs because you had to go to the lab to do anything, you didn't have the tools yourself. Well, I just thought, this is really not what I want my life to be, my work life anyway.
And what made you change the third time to real estate?
I just needed to pick something within the business school to finish my degree.
So when I went to school, I didn't have a real estate option. When I read your profile, I was a little shocked. So what did they teach you in school?
Well, it's a major in real estate is really focused on commercial real estate development.
Oh.
And everything that goes into that. So the financing. So if you're working for a developer and you're building a mixed use, development, what are the long-term financial goals? Like, this is what we can expect. Here are the rents, like it really is a finance focused program based on supporting the commercial real estate business.
So nothing to do with residential. They don't teach you that.
No, they teach you about residential because they want you to know about the concepts of, especially about construction,
right,
and valuation. Right. So, they teach you that because a lot of people investors, through many different, functions, invest in residential real estate. And you have to know how to value that from an income perspective,
right,
from a cost perspective, and then looking at comps. So, what we do every day, looking at comps, comparable sales is just one way to value a property. Right. There's the cost approach and the income. So, but they teach you all of those things, but that is not the focus.
So you graduate, and then what do you do after that? Where did you start working?
I actually worked in technology. I worked for a big technology company and I worked on that, did that for about 5 years. And then I had the opportunity to move to Los Angeles. And then I immediately went into work in television production.
So what happened to real estate?
Nothing. I never.
I mean, were you intrigued at
Never
all?
pursued it. Never did anything.
Never thought of it, never got excited. And how long did you work for the entertainment marketing?
Well, I worked in television production, mainly on situation comedies, live studio audience based productions. I did a few other things, but I did that for 8 years. And then I decided to move back to Georgia to be closer to my family. It was a hard decision to make, but I did that. And I wanted to stay in television, but really the only opportunity for me to do that was going into the cable side of the business. And of course, Turner was based there.
Right.
I ended up working at Turner later on, but I started out at MTV Networks, which was the cable network division of Viacom.
How was living in LA versus going back to Georgia?
Oh, culture shock. They're completely different worlds now. They were very different worlds then.
I grew up in LA all my life, so I kind of understand. When I left LA,
but it was good being with family, and I had a new career, and it was the 90s, and it was exciting and something new.
And you did not think about at all at that time of real estate?
No.
Or even you wanted to dip your feet into it?
Never did. No.
And then when did you first visit Palm Springs?
My first visit here was October of 1984.
What do you think about it then?
Loved it immediately.
Why is that?
Just, the beauty of the mountains and the desert, and the juxtaposition of looking at this arid environment.
It's not Georgia.
Lying by a pool, looking at palm trees with snow-capped mountains in the background. It's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And then at some point you decided to buy a second home because you were still in Georgia. So you wanted to kind of like start.
That was many years. In 2018, I decided that I needed to start planning for the next chapter, so to speak. And I've always wanted to have a place out here in the desert. So I came out and ended up buying a house. I was looking at condos mostly, but had a great real estate agent who sort of very subtly guided me to a house as opposed to a condominium.
Tricky. So you bought the house and you would go back and forth like most people do.
For basically the next year, would come out when I could. I had a lot of business on the West Coast, so I would find myself
somehow in Palm Springs,
in the Bay Area or Los Angeles or San Diego, and
right.
Then work it to where I could come out here and stay for a few days before I had to go back.
And then at some point you decided to do it full time.
Well, when your employer decides it's time for you to leave, that's basically what happened. So my career ended. Well, we were, company had been purchased by another corporation, and I was offered a very generous package to leave. I was old enough and had worked there long enough, so I jumped on it, and ended up. That was June of 2019. I moved here full time in October.
So what made you? So your employer says we gotta go, we gotta close down. Why not stay in Georgia?
I was ready. I always wanted to be back west. My heart has always been on the West Coast.
Right. So that was your chance, and that was just pre-COVID.
Yes, just pre-COVID. I mean, 6 months. I got here in October, so 5 months prior to sort of, the new normal.
And then you said to yourself, what do I do now?
Well, yeah, I actually when the pandemic first, presented itself, I was already studying for the real estate license.
So you made a decision when you moved here that you want to get your license.
I knew that I needed to work and I wanted to work. And it was the agent with whom I worked to buy this home who suggested, why don't you get your license and come work with us?
And you were like, why not?
And I said, okay. And that's what I did.
So now is your mind going back to what you learned in school? What your time that you invested
Oh,
in?
yeah, sure. I mean, I think a combination of sort of the tools and things that I learned then and the skill sets that I learned working in sales and marketing and in media have really been helpful.
How so?
You know, well, working with people, I worked with clients all the time to, you know, whether it was a contract negotiation or partnering on, you know, marketing ideas, you know, to help grow their business and ours. It was always very collaborative, and you had to get all the parties together and sort of get to a point where you agree on how to move forward. It's the same thing in real estate.
So did you get your license before COVID hit?
No, I became licensed in September of 2020. So we're in
the midst.
Sort of in the middle of it, yeah.
Okay. And then now you're gonna start getting into it. What was that like? Because I moved here, but I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I moved here during COVID as well, but I knew I did it on purpose, that I wanted to move during that so I can get grounded. You're brand new world, brand new industry, brand new everything, and you're on lockdown. What did that feel and look like?
Well, on the personal side, you know, I was stuck in my house alone for quite a while, and seeing a very, very small group of people outdoors occasionally, but then starting a new business and not even be able to meet the people with whom you're working, that's tough. I met the broker and a couple of other people, and that was it, and not being able to go to open houses. And then by the time I went through my training and then started really trying to find clients, buyers mostly, it was hard to be together. We couldn't ride in a car together. There were no open houses. We could go into properties at that point with, you know, the right paperwork and everything, but that was all I knew. So being able to go to open houses now and really spend time with people is great for me.
But back then, did you say to yourself, what have I done? Because I mean, obviously, you know the extent of COVID, what's going to happen. But you say to yourself, well, I got this career, I got this license, but I can't see, I can't go, I can't talk, I can't meet. Did you ever go to that state of mind where, what have I done? Is this going to be something I want to pursue?
Well, I knew I wasn't alone. You know, the whole world was going through the same thing. So I just decided, you know, see this through. Keep going, you know, be diligent, be, you know, perseverant, and just keep at it. You don't know if you can succeed at something until you really try.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know,
and if you can make
it'll
it
be
through
2
those
years
times,
in September.
If you can make it through those times, then the rest is
right. That's what I thought. If you can get through the tough times, and the rest of the times are a piece of cake, right?
So how are things now? Now that you're, you know, made your career change, your move, things are slowing down.
I feel like I'm making progress. I feel like I'm, you know, incrementally seeing more success. I'm trying to do the things that I know work for other realtors, but also make it my own. You know, I don't want to be just like everyone else. I think we all want to stand out in certain ways.
What do you think the biggest misconception is, especially in Palm Springs, about becoming a realtor?
I think the biggest misconception is that it's easy, that the business comes easily, and that it's a lot of low-hanging fruit and it's just out there for people to pick. And it is completely opposite of that. I've never worked harder.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You work long, hard, you work for months, and then finally you might get a paycheck. So, but it's all good. I'm not complaining.
And what will you tell people that are coming new into the industry, especially like, the last, maybe they just started 6 months ago, not 2 years ago, and now the market is shifting a little bit and things are changing. So it's a transition. What do you tell them now that you at least had your 2 years into it?
You have to approach it just like any other job or career. You have to have, you have to be very diligent. You have to be at it every day, treat it like a real job. Even if you're working from home, get up,
Get dressed.
Your tasks, whatever, I was always someone who had, okay, in the morning, I do these things, in the afternoon, I do these things. And I try to stick to that. You can't always, because there's so much work out in the field. You have to drop everything and go and meet an inspector or go to an open house, or a client wants you to go check out a property. I mean, which I enjoy that.
And what is the most important thing for you? For me, it's different than you. Everybody's different in the industry. Like, what are you looking for to make this a pleasant experience, I should say?
Well, they're the obvious things. I want to make a living, right?
Well,
I want the personal satisfaction of knowing that I've succeeded in connecting a buyer and a seller.
But in that process, what would make Doug happy? Is it the culture of the company you're with? Is it the culture of the town that you live in? Is it the industry and how it's maybe needs to be a little bit adjusted here and there?
Absolutely. I think that, there's, especially here in Palm Springs, there's the overall community, and then you have subsets of that. And I think, this is basically a small town where people really know one another.
Yes.
And what I've found is, whether you're working with other realtors or vendors like lenders and inspectors, title companies, escrow, you build those relationships and you learn who's sort of, okay, I like working with this person. I like, they're good, they communicate well, because what we all do every day, we're solving a problem.
Yep.
How do we get to the solution?
Yep.
Oh, this person can help me get there. And I'm good at sort of connecting with people and knowing I can depend on them. I don't claim to be an expert at everything. I just want to know the experts
and learn
from them.
Yeah.
But really depend on them. Let them, an expert opinion is how you move things along.
Right. Last question. Overall, what attracts you about Palm Springs? Why did you move to Palm Springs and made it, you were just clear about it? I want to it's my home. I'm leaving Georgia. I'm not even LA, but I want to be in Palm Springs. Why Palm Springs?
It comes down to one, so the physical part of it, I love the view of the mountain, Mount San Jacinto, which I see from my house all the time, and the mountains around me, the desert scape, the lifestyle, the pools, there's lots of live music, all those things. But really what it came down to for me, after a lot of thought, is that when you get to be my age,
okay,
in many places, I bring that up because
I get it. Yeah.
In Atlanta, Georgia, great city. I'm from there, but it's a place for young people.
Right.
And older people are really not celebrated or embraced there. And for me, I could have stayed there and survived, but I wanted to move here and thrive. And that was really what I wanted.
Very interesting. You're not the first one that said that, by the way.
Here, people in their 60s and 70s are
young,
active and vibrant. They're still running, they're very successful business leaders, and I love that. And I don't when I'm here, I don't feel like I'm not part of the community. And I think in a lot of big urban centers where that really appeal to young people, it did to me,
Right.
you're somewhat invisible.
You're not, I hear this all the time. I always ask that question at the end, and I hear it often, like probably the most common answer. So to me, it's very interesting. But yes, I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yep.
It's true.
Doug, thank you for doing this. It's been very enlightening, and I've learned a lot.
Well, thank you, Sam.
Good luck with your new world, your new adventure. I'm sure you're going to be very well at it. To everybody else watching, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and have a great week, have a great month, have a great day whenever you're watching this, and be safe. Take care, everyone.